Hello, my name is HQ of HQ Reacts. Welcome to my channel. Please do me a favor. Hit the like button, share the stream, and click the notification button for new content. Thank
Hey everybody, hello. This is HQ out here today. Talking about the missing jobs report. Y'all, if you're not paying attention, we used to get those job reports every month. Since Donald Trump got a devastating report in September, he stopped giving out the jobs reports. Let's take a look at what people are saying.
This other video,
Wow.
the economic news is not so good. And the administration is kind of panicking to figure out how to hide this. So as many of you know, we are not getting official jobs reports right now. Trump didn't like them. So he fired the commissioner of the Bureau of Labor Statistics, and we have no more official jobs reports. But there are other jobs and payroll data tracking companies like ADP, which give us information. And generally speaking, the ADP numbers tracked the BLS numbers, so they at least give us an idea. Well, the ADP numbers now say that private companies have been losing 13,500 jobs every week for the last month. There's multiple elements of significance to this. Number one, this is a jump in job losses from where we were just recently. Number two, one of the arguments from this administration has been, listen, the overall jobs numbers don't really paint an accurate picture. Because yes, we are losing some government jobs, but that's by design. Doge came in and they found fraud, waste, and abuse, and they are getting rid of jobs that we don't really need. So what really matters is the private employers. However, the ADP data focuses specifically on private employers, and that data is getting worse. Like I said, 13,500 jobs a week now being lost by private employers. The only reason we even know this is because of ADP, because Trump killed the actual jobs report. He fired the BLS commissioner, canceled the October jobs report, canceled the inflation report, third quarter GDP report is either delayed or scrapped, who knows? So we are now relying on an ADP spreadsheet because the president was so terrified of the official numbers that he said no more. Now, this shouldn't surprise anybody. This is the guy who said, I don't like how many COVID cases we have. Stop testing for COVID. And as we all know, if you don't want to be pregnant, just don't take a pregnancy test. And then voila, you aren't pregnant. He admitted to cooking the numbers on COVID cases. He has found a way to try to cook the numbers on employment, but it's not working. He's doing the same thing. He always does the same thing. Not only is it COVID cases and job losses, but it's inflation data. It's the same playbook every single time. Now, meanwhile, there's an increasingly wobbly economy. You look at all aspects of what Trump is doing. The tariff regime, obviously terrible for the economy. We know that. But the mass deportation plan often is talked about appropriately in ethical and moral terms, which makes sense. But it's also an economic issue. The mass deportation plan carried out to its full potential would knock about 7% off of the GDP. Q1 GDP growth was negative. Q2 bounced back to some degree. We've got accelerating layoffs. And now we are about 15 days from the Fed meeting to decide what are we going to do with interest rates. They'll have no official jobs data. They're going to have no consumer price index. They're going to have no GDP print. They are going to run a $27-30 trillion economy on guesswork because Trump has canceled the data. Now we are going to get a little bit later on in the show to Republicans now blowing the healthcare rollout. Now, as we've talked about before, healthcare is a moral issue. It is an ethical issue. It is a public health issue, but it's also an economic issue. If people don't have healthcare when they get sick, they can't go to work if they're unable to get appropriate treatment. So all of these stories healthcare, deportation, all of it in some way links back to the state of the economy. None of this projects strength. None of this projects competence, and none of this projects confidence. It's all an administrative meltdown. Now, meanwhile, you still have MAGAs who say Trump's a businessman. He's running the country like a business. He's good with money. But of course, if you look at the multiple business bankruptcies and you look at the fact that every time this guy gets in, the deficit explodes. If you look at the fact that Democratic presidents on average are stewards of nearly 3 times the job creation as Republicans on average, you have to accept the record for what it is. Facts don't care about your feelings. They're not good with the economy. They're not good at creating jobs. And right now is ending each month with fewer jobs than it started. Now, when we eventually get real numbers, if they ever come out, we might learn that this is even worse than what the ADP and other data suggests. One final note on the Democratic Republican thing. There are lots of ways in which presidents don't directly influence or control job creation. We have global business cycles. We have black swan type one-off events, natural disasters. There's a lot that goes into job creation. But there are some things presidents can do to influence job creation. They relate to government spending, they relate to tariff and tax policy, they relate to trade agreements, etc. If we go back to Truman onward, okay, net jobs added under Democratic presidents, 71 million. Under the Republican presidents, 29 million. Now you might say, well, we haven't had the same number of years of Democratic and Republican presidents. Correct. You are now thinking, if we do it on a per month basis, going all the way back to Truman, Democratic presidents on average add 164,000 jobs a month. Republican presidents on average add 61,000 jobs per month. Presidents don't control everything about jobs, but when you start looking at 100 years and you see this extraordinarily notable trend, you have to at least say to yourself, well, there must be something that Democratic versus Republican presidents are doing that allows or encourages more job growth under Democrats. And that is absolutely the case. We've talked about what those things are, and the record is extraordinarily clear. Thanks for watching. Check out this other video. And if you like our content, make sure to subscribe.
Well, hold on. Well, the jobs report is devastating, apparently. Apparently, they're hiding.
We are waiting any moment now to get the jobs numbers for the month of May. The expectations call for the ADP numbers to be up 95,000 for the month of June. Rather, it's the June jobs data, and we'll, of course, right now seeing the number actually show a decline in jobs, down 33,000 on ADP. The bill includes $25 billion for the Golden Dome, the missile defense system. Senator, you introduced a bill supporting the construction of that system. I want to get your take on defense and whether or not...
So that was Fox News. They were expecting the jobs report to come in and for there to be an increase in jobs, but they were live on TV when they got the news that 33,000 jobs in June were lost. When there was an expectation of an increase of 115,000. So about 100,000 is the difference in jobs that were expected. And right away they changed the subject. Of course they're going to do that. They're not going to talk about how Trump is fucking things up. This is the ADP National Employment Report. We are going to get a different report from the government, so we'll see if that one's a little bit different. And just for reference, according to the Bureau of Labor Statistics, the economy added jobs every single full month that Joe Biden was in office. And Trump just started, and there's already a month that's 33,000 jobs lost. Now, what Biden did hadn't been done since 1939. Just a few days ago, Trump put out this Truth Social post saying the Trump administration has gotten costs down very substantially for the American consumer. There has never been anything like this. Now, this is not true at all. According to the Consumer Price Index, prices are actually up. For American consumers, costs are generally higher today compared to last year. The Consumer Price Index indicates a 2.4% increase in prices over the past 12 months, ending in May, compared to a 2.3% increase in the previous period. That's in the last administration, which was Biden. So a lot of people don't want to give, Biden credit, but I mean, there are things that he did do better than Trump.
Did you hear the news? Did you hear the news? You didn't? Well, let me give it to you. Yeah, the jobs report is in. And did we gain 100,000, 200,000, 300,000 jobs? How many did we gain? We lost 33,000. Yeah, after 6 months of Trump's wonderful economy, we are not gaining jobs. We're actually losing them. Yeah, the numbers came in and we lost 33,000 jobs last month. Yeah, I don't know about you, but I'm used to the number going higher, going up. It's going in the wrong direction. Yeah, it's kind of, they expected 100,000 jobs gained, and instead of 100,000, negative 33,000. And that's on Trump. That's all on Trump. It's all Trump's fault. No one else to blame, no one else to talk to. You talk to the man at the top. And Donald Trump is completely failing already when it comes to jobs.
Look, for decades and decades and decades, the monthly labor market report from the Bureau of Labor Statistics has been a clear-cut transparency way in which it provided neutral data reports on how working Americans are doing here, regardless of who sits in the White House, regardless. But in 2025, under Trump, when that Bureau of Labor Statistics came out with the September jobs report and said we had lost 33,000 jobs, Donald Trump fired that guy. And we haven't gotten a reliable jobs report since. We have had to rely on private people like ADP to give us the jobs report. Okay? That was a long-standing tradition that was broken because he didn't like the fact that his job growth was going in the wrong direction. They declined to release the September jobs report and signaled that the October jobs report may never come. We ain't seen the jobs report for November. Okay. Instead of official data, we left scrambling, trying to put together information from private companies like ADP. Okay. Which now they publish weekly employment data. Otherwise, we would know that we're losing jobs like water. Okay, like water. So, but the ADP only covers a portion of the private sector workforce. It forgets about the government employment entirely. Government employment entirely. This is all private sector jobs. And it lacks the key context like the household survey, unemployment rates, labor force petition rates, detailed industry breakdowns. It lacks all of the things that the regular Bureau of Labor Statistics is supposed to provide for us every month. Now, what does it say about the Trump administration versus the past administrations when they have released the job reports, regardless of whether they're good or bad? Okay? Simple. It shows a willingness for them to discard institutional norms like the BLS jobs report because they don't want people to know how devastating this economy is. Okay, even when past administrations put out bad numbers, they released them because the core principle of our democratic governance is to allow the citizens to understand the markets and let the policymakers see the reality of our situation, not to hide or distort the truth. Okay? So, he's hiding the job numbers. By refusing to release the reports, the Trump administration saying that it values the political convenience instead of the truth to American people. So in doing that, he's betrayed the American people for this. Families who got a budget on a paycheck for working, layoffs we're having, all this kind of stuff is happening. This person is withdrawing, they're withdrawing or withholding the economic data that people need to make decisions in their life and businesses need to make in their business. This company, people are letting this government shield themselves from accountability. They're not being held accountable. I don't expect the Republicans to hold this president accountable for anything, because Republicans definitely don't stand on nothing. But this is something that we should all fight back on. We should be looking for these job reports. Everybody get every report. In 84 years, we have not went without a jobs report until this president got into office. Why do you think that is? Because he knows that he has devastated our economy.
Imagine that.
The government finally released its jobs report for September. Now, I've said it before, I will say it again. Unemployment is not a numbers problem, it's a people problem. But I want you to pay attention to two numbers that I found in the September jobs report. The first number, 1.8 million people. That's the number of people that the government considers long-term unemployed, meaning that they've been unemployed for more than 6 months. According to the U.S. Labor Department, the long-term unemployed account for nearly 1 out of 4 unemployed people in the United States right now. And here's another number I want you to pay attention to. 5.9 million people. That's the number of people that are unemployed. They want a job, but they've given up on trying to find a new job for whatever reason. And those people are not counted in the unemployment report. Can you imagine what the numbers would look like if you added in those nearly 6 million people who are unemployed and they've said, you know what, we've tried everything and we've just given up on trying to find a job? If you're in the same situation I am, well, you don't need a government report to tell you just how terrible it is out there. I'm living that every day as I try to find a full-time job. I have some prospects that might pan out, fingers crossed on that. But this is the problem. People want to work, but the jobs are either just not there, or the competition for those jobs is incredibly stiff. Believe me, I know the problem. I don't know the solution, but by damn, I'm trying to find it.
I just spent several months in the United States, and I kept hearing how Republicans are destroying America and how Democrats hate America. So let's look at the facts. Who really hates America? Who's really destroying the country? So to start with, we have to determine what strengthens America and then see who is weakening it. Which party hates the US more? America's strength isn't just GDP or its military power. It's the balance between economic vitality, individual freedom, and national unity. And using that perspective, we get 5 broad criteria that can help us evaluate the intent and the performance of each party. So the first is economic stewardship. It's how effectively each party manages growth, employment, and the national debt. A strong economy depends on expansion and stability. And Democrats tend to prioritize fiscal stimulus and consumer spending, while Republicans focus more on tax reduction and deregulation. The test is which approach yields sustainable growth without deficits or without eroding the middle class. Since World War II, America's economy has grown faster under Democratic presidents, about twice as fast, 4% a year, compared to roughly 2% a year under Republicans. and private job sector growth is nearly triple under the Democrats. So in this category, Democratic policies like fiscal stimulus and higher consumer spending produce a stronger, steadier economy. So the winners are the Democrats, but the Republicans are not destroying the economy, they just don't grow it as fast. The second criteria is innovation and infrastructure investment, the foundations of long-term strength for the country. This includes research funding, education, and technology policy. Democrats favor public investment in clean energy, broadband, and science education. Republicans lean towards private sector incentives and deregulation. The question is, which approach prepares the U.S. for global competition? And this category is much more balanced. When Republicans control Congress, they often raise funding for science and research programs, sometimes even more than Democrats. Although in the current Trump Republican administration, they are eliminating almost all of it. Democrats typically push for big national investments like CHIPS Act, clean energy transitions, and broadband expansion. You could say Republicans back innovation from the lab up and Democrats from the system down. Different levers, the same goal. Until now, when Democrats are fighting to save funding and Republicans are actively eliminating it. In normal times, we would call this category even between the Democrats and Republicans. But under Trump, the Republicans are destroying this part of American power. A third criteria is individual and institutional freedoms, the rule of law, civil rights, and limits on power. Republicans emphasize freedom from government interference. Democrats emphasize freedom through equal protection and access. This test is how each protects the press, the courts, and elections, which are all safeguards that make all the other freedoms possible. This is where values diverge the most. Republicans emphasize freedom from government, speech, guns, religion. Democrats emphasize freedom through government, equal access, voting rights, press independence. Neither is anti-freedom, they're just protecting freedom differently. But statistically, Democrats more often defend the institutions that keep those rights functioning: courts, elections, and the media. The current Trump Republican administration is currently and actively eliminating these institutions. This makes the Republicans the clear haters of freedom. The fourth criteria is social stability and national cohesion. Economic power and freedom don't mean much without trust and unity. Democrats emphasize safety nets and inclusion. Republicans stress responsibility and tradition. The balance between them determines whether prosperity reaches as many people as possible or rewards just those in power. Democrats usually focus on inclusion and safety nets. Republicans on family and responsibility. But only one party is overtly attacking the other. Republicans calling for the arrest of Democrats and filing erroneous lawsuits against them and calling for violence. Republicans are the winners of the hate race in this category. And finally, global competitiveness and strategic security, how each party positions America in the world. Democrats emphasize diplomacy, alliances, and cooperation. Republicans emphasize sovereignty, strength, and independence. The question is, which approach better sustains U.S. influence and resilience in a multipolar era? Prior to Trump, this was a fairly equal category. But as we all know, the current Republican administration is isolating the U.S., pulling out of treaties, eliminating free trade, and no longer supporting allies, an unambiguous strategy to destroy America globally. So the current Republican administration is actively weakening American power. Each party moves forward on each of these criteria. They just do it in different ways, with the Democrats making things somewhat better than the Republicans. But the Trump Republican administration is absolutely doing the most harm to the U.S. They are the clear winners for destroying America.
A lot of people don't realize this, but the October jobs report never came out. And that's not a glitch. It didn't come out because it was never done. And that right there, that's the left hand. Because when a federal report disappears, a federal report that's been around for ages, it's not because nothing happened. It's because the people who were supposed to gather the data aren't there anymore. Under Biden, the Bureau of Labor Statistics in the field had around 2,400 employees. Today, it's down to about 600, 1/4 of the staff for an entire nation. And here's the part nobody's talking about. You can't produce a national jobs report when you don't have the people to collect the numbers. You can't measure unemployment, wages, layoffs, industries, or state trends with a skeleton crew. So the report didn't come out because the system that produces it has been hollowed out quietly, deliberately. That's the left hand. And why hollow it out? Because when the numbers disappear, accountability disappears. Workers lose power. States lose power. Families lose power. But the people who want to move money in the dark, they gain power. Caroline Levitt even said it out loud. We may never even get that report again. That's a warning. That's a statement of intent. This is phase 2. This is consolidation. Because you don't need to destroy a department if you can make it too empty to function. And once it's hollow, you can quietly reroute money, outsource functions, cut oversight, and sign contracts that can't be undone later. That's the part people miss. It's always harder to rebuild a system once it's been dismantled, because destruction is fast. Reconstruction is very slow. So no, this wasn't a glitch. It wasn't because of the Democrats or Biden or whatever they're trying to say. This was the left hand moving while the right hand kept everyone distracted. And the missing October jobs report, that's not the story. The missing infrastructure behind it is. Everyone's thinking it. I'm just saying it.
This is down.
That's fucked up. That's fucked up because all people thought about was getting rid of waste, fraud, and abuse. That's what most of the idiots thought. The idiots that weren't thinking you can't devastate systems and not have consequences behind it. This person these Doge people went in and cut and slashed and burned all of these departments. What happened to the salaries and the monies that belonged to? I don't see any of these salaries and these monies going towards our debt. I don't see any of that. What was the point of cutting those places off? What was the point of getting rid of those places? I don't understand what happened to the money and why we can't have a jobs report. Why don't we have a jobs report like every other administration has had a jobs report to let us know what's going on with our country? What's going on? The more you hide, the more it's suspicious. I know there's going to be people that go to prison after this administration is over. If the Democrats don't be pussies and not put them in jail. Let's put it. That's better. Put them in jail. Oops. Because a lot of them deserve to be in jail. A lot.
Too empty to function. And once it's hollow, you can quietly reroute money, outsource functions,
Right.
cut oversight, and sign contracts that can't be undone later. That's the part people miss. It's always harder to rebuild a system once it's been dismantled, because destruction is fast. Reconstruction is very slow. So no, this wasn't a glitch. It wasn't because of the Democrats or Biden or whatever they're trying to say.
Right.
This was the left hand moving while the right hand kept everyone distracted. And the missing October jobs report, that's not the story. The missing infrastructure behind it is. Everyone's thinking it. I'm just saying it.
This is down 11,000. The 4-week moving average of private sector job creation in the ADP preliminary report down 11,000 on average over the 4 weeks. So that would equate to a month-on-month change of minus almost 45,000. And just to explain, first of all, in the middle of the shutdown, we're trying to bring viewers every single bit of alternative data we have. ADP is.
We're hearing people in the chat. goofy people in the chat. The economy has always done good, mostly done the most good under Democrats. I hear a lot of you people in the chat say Biden destroyed the economy. Democrats have always had a flourishing economy. Under Democratic rule, they've had flourishing economy. But that's neither here nor there. We don't care about the past. We care about what this president is doing to our future now and what he has devastated now. This person has went about a systematic way of devastating this whole structure. Losing jobs, taking people out of jobs, closing down U.S. aid, withdrawing us from places that we should stay, putting us in the middle of wars, loaning out money, starving the American people. Nobody by any metric can say that this president has done a positive job for this country. No one can say he's done a positive job for this country. And it doesn't matter what job, how, when. This president went in and destroyed the lives of many, many, many Americans. Many Americans. Okay? So it's not a matter of me. You for years to come, this is going to be a lifelong lesson. You can't just hire anybody to be our president.
Something we follow closely. They've begun putting out 3 times a month a lagging by 2 weeks. So this is for the week ending October 25th. Index of average weekly job growth over the 4-week period. That is down by 11,000. And somewhat in contrast to the month-on-month that we got last week, which was plus 42,000. So it does suggest some weakening as the month of October went on compared to what they had from September to October. Remember, this is a weekly index that comes out 3 times a month. And it's just really looking for what is the right level of job growth here. Separately, guys, the NFIB came out with their small business optimism index. It fell.
And you know what? I wouldn't even mind, if it's a bad jobs report. I wouldn't even mind that. The point is, this administration is hiding or cooking the numbers. That's the problem. They're hiding or cooking the number. I can take a devastating jobs report. Everyone can take a devastating jobs report. It is what it is. We lost jobs, we gained jobs, whatever. But it's when you start hiding the books, cooking the books, saying it's the best economy ever. I don't know why this president keeps saying that, like we don't see how bad it's gotten. It's starting to get. It's really going to be evident. Someone said it's really going to be evident starting tomorrow, which is Black Friday Day. I don't even know what the fuck I want to buy on Black Friday Day. I have everything I need plus. I don't need to buy anything more. But my whole thing is, when those numbers start to come in from Black Friday and people aren't able to buy X, Y, and Z, this is when we're going to start to figure out that this president and this administration has been fleecing and cooking the books. Okay. This is when we're going to find AUTK. Why are y'all so dumb that y'all don't do research? Why is it that you come into this chat and you crash out about illegal aliens when illegal aliens put more into the system than what they take out? No illegal aliens don't steal billions of dollars. You're dumb. You don't do research. Stop spreading bad information. Go read a book. Wow. Just dumb for no reason when you can do research.
0.6 to 98.2. Still above the long-arm average, but the lowest since April. Plans to increase hiring fell by 1 point to 15%. plans to invest. That's up pretty good. I wonder if small businesses figuring out they have this new expensing up. That was up 2 points. But here's the interesting move here. Trouble with labor quality up by 9 points. We've never seen anything like that. That's 27%. It's the highest since the pandemic. Unfilled job openings were unchanged, the lowest since the pandemic. So we have this very funny dynamic down here where they're not really hiring, but they can't find the people they want. Oliver Allen at Pantheon says the numbers bear watching and could indicate trouble at some businesses finding workers due to the new immigration and deportation policies, even while the other parts of the job market remain okay. Overall, guys, the data consistent with low fire, low hire economy that we're finding in all this alternative data now.
This is breaking labor law news. Donald Trump is refusing to release the October jobs report, and we think we now know why. Goldman Sachs has released its report claiming that 50,000 jobs were lost in the month of October. Obviously, that's not going to look good. And the last time there was a jobs report that looked really bad for Donald Trump, he fired the commissioner of the Bureau of Labor Statistics. So right now, we're relying on private companies to give us this data. We don't have official reports from the government, and there are concerns whether they would be accurate when they come out. This is a developing situation. If you want to stay in the loop, you can follow for more.
Listen, this is going to be one of the most important political videos I've made because what I'm going to walk you through will affect every single American, whether you lean left or right or don't even care. This isn't a partisan rant. It is about an economic pattern that is going to hit every single person. And the sooner that you understand it, the better prepared you're going to be. So watch all the way through because I promise this is all important information. When a government hides the numbers and hands out checks, it's not confidence, it's fear. So let's talk about what just happened with the October jobs report. Okay, they released the part that shows jobs gained, but the section that shows jobs lost, or this, because it doesn't include people that were fired, it just includes people that were let go. Okay, that was left blank. And the guy that tracks it on the news, he said something like, oh, well, I don't think we'll ever have the accurate number of that. So it was just blank. That almost never happens. Shutdown or not, this data doesn't just disappear. Payroll records don't vanish. Unemployment filings don't evaporate. But when a government holds back the part of the report that reflects losses, it usually means that those losses are large enough to be politically dangerous. Okay, at the same time, China signaled that they are pulling back on soybean purchases. Now that might sound, small and just like, why do I care? But it's not, it's huge. Soybeans are one of America's largest exports. It's considered a cash crop. And China is our number one customer of that crop. So when China steps back, American farmers feel it like that. These are not abstract numbers. These are real pressure points on American communities. So now you layer in the sudden shift in tariffs. For 8 years, they have been talked about like sacred logic, okay? A hammer for every nail. And throughout the entire period, economists, farmers, trade experts, even conservative policy analysts warned that tariffs act like a regressive tax. They do not punish foreign nations. They raise prices here in America on American consumers. They squeeze farmers. They strain supply chains. Over and over and over, people show.
You gotta tell the goofy MAGAs that, because the goofy MAGAs don't seem to understand the tariffs are devastating for the United States. The minute he put tariffs into play, you devastated our market. On top of the job loss, on top of the farmers, on top of the $1 billion going to Argentina, on top of him buying beef from somebody, Argentina or somewhere else, the whole nine. He has devastated this economy. This whole year, it's going to take, we may never recover from this, from what this administration has done, what this administration continues to do. That's why I hate when Republicans get in charge, because they don't do anything except hollow out the money. They don't want to govern because they don't want to do any of the safety net things to keep the people going. The tariffs have devastated this economy. That's the total. No, don't say Democrats are dumb. Democrats have been stewards of this economy. Every time we have gotten in charge, we have grown this economy. Every time a Democrat has gotten in charge, we have grown the economy. And that's a statistical fact. There's no lying about it. There's no if and or what. Okay. So we can't explain it to you. I'm not explaining it to you. Go do the research.
The data over and over and over, the warnings were dismissed as fake news or bad analysis or just told to shut up altogether. But now, every one of those predictions are starting to come true. Rising prices, export pressure, trading partners pulling back, like China on soybeans. Suddenly, there's talk of softening on tariffs on things. Scott Bissett was on the news the other day, and he's like, oh, well, things like coffee and fruit and imported goods. I mean, he's talking about reducing. I mean, that's not a philosophical evolution. It's economic pressure forcing a quiet reversal, because when has this man ever decided to reverse course on anything? Ever.
We are right now rolling into a recession. We should be in a recession, but we really can't tell whether we are or not. Well, he won't release the BLS, the Bureau of Labor Statistic reports. He won't release that. So they're going to make decisions next month about our economy, whether they're going to lower the interest rates or not, or keep them high or whatever. They're going to make decisions on that based on maybe inaccurate information. This is sad. I cannot wait till we have a shift in power, because, as I stated, the Republicans don't want to govern. They just want to hollow out the government. Just don't want to do the job.
And then we're going to get to the idea of the $2,000 tariff dividend check. Let's do away with the euphemism and call it what it is. It is a stimulus check. Okay? It's just different branding. Tariff revenue is not foreign money. It is not cash from overseas. It is money collected from American companies and American consumers. So the plan amounts to this: tax people through tariffs and then hand them back some of their own money and call it a dividend because of economic pressures. That's not strategy. It's a circuit loop. And constitutionally, the president can't just decide to hand out multi-billion dollars worth of payments. Congress holds the power of the purse. Any real stimulus, I mean, whether you label it a dividend or a rebate or relief, I mean, it requires congressional approval. Without it, it's not a policy, it's a headline meant to calm the nerves. I almost said calm the cattle, but that's just my frustration. Sorry. Look, put all of this together. Tariffs, reversal talks on stimulus, China pulling back purchases, and the missing jobs loss data. None of these are signs of stability. They are signs of economic strain, to put it mildly. The kind of strain administrations try to manage quietly before the public connects the dots. But I'm here right now connecting these dots. This is not about loving or hating any politician. This is about recognizing the pattern. The pattern is there. I can recognize it. You should recognize it. It is a fact. When the numbers are hidden, when reversals happen in silence, when checks are promised without legislation, and when global partners start shifting their buying habits, those are the early warning signs. We're in deep shit. And the people always feel the impact long before the headlines admit the truth. When a government hides the numbers and hands out checks, it isn't showing confidence, it's showing fear. Think about it.
Let me give you a reality check. The White House just announced there will be no October jobs report or inflation report released this Friday, even though federal law requires those reports to be public. Meanwhile, ADP said we lost 45,000 jobs last month. Goldman Sachs put it at 50,000. Here's why it matters to you. When a government hides its economic data, it's hiding your future, your bills, your rent, your paycheck, your ability to plan even the next 60 days. People can disagree on policy, but you can't build a functioning society if the numbers are locked in a vault, like we're running some kind of shadow economy. History has receipts. When governments stop releasing basic economic data, it's usually because the truth is inconvenient. Think pre-collapse Argentina when inflation numbers were literally edited. Think the Soviet Union when
when Trump is promising $2,000 checks. Doge is promising $5,000 checks. This is when you know you're in trouble because he hasn't talked to anybody. I recall when Trump said, "Oh, we're going to get $2,000 checks." And then the next day we saw that Besant guy. That Besant guy had no clue what Trump was talking about, $2,000 checks. This country is in trouble.
Production data went missing to hide failures. Democratic governments don't do this unless they know you won't like the truth. And we warned you. People laughed, people shrugged. Meanwhile, the numbers are vanishing like socks in a dryer. The consequences, though, won't vanish. They land on you. Hard.
We ain't crying for more. We saying we told you idiots. We told you goofy goofies. We told you goofy goofies that Trump was going to devastate this economy. We ain't begging for nothing. We already know. Most libs know we in free fall. We in free fall. We doing what we got to do. It's you MAGAs who think this shit is good. Y'all follow a clown car. How do y'all look at the economy and say, I'm just going to follow that guy and not see that we in free fall? What these people are saying to you is the president is hiding the jobs reports because they're devastating. And when the jobs reports are devastating, that means we are heading for a road out of fucking town and we don't have no road map. This president did all of this. He is the shittiest human being. Let's be clear. But he's also the shittiest president.
If you want stability, transparency is the bare minimum. If that's slipping, everything else will follow. If you ever learn anything from me, please support the work that makes this possible. This isn't just content, it's curation, education, and legacy building. My link tree is in my bio to follow me on all socials. Stay informed and stay safe.
What do you mean, Brooklyn? What the fuck are you talking about? What are you talking about, goofy? The most people that are on food stamps are in the Republican states. Goofy. How y'all goofy like this and don't know? We got Brooklyn crashing out in the chat. They begging for they SNAP and they EBT check. Goofy. It's mostly Republicans that get food stamps. Goofy. Man, I don't do no reading. Just be talking for no reason.
Oh, my girl. Oh, my girl. I got an article from Fox Baltimore. We gonna talk about it, okay? I took notes. A source from the White House says that the shutdown wiped out 60,000
jobs. 60,000 jobs Donald Trump broke off during the shutdown. Wasn't that about 2 weeks ago? Just 2 weeks ago? Yeah, I get triggered. I don't like people not getting it. If Brooklyn was talking about something else, I apologize to you, Brooklyn, if you were. You just made it seem as though something else. So I apologize on that. No, I get triggered easily when facts can be looked up. Facts can be looked up. I get it, Brooklyn. I'm sorry. I apologize. Facts can be looked up. When you keep saying they're begging, when you keep saying X, Y, and Z, it's not Democrats. It doesn't matter whether we're Democrats or Republicans. We all are going over the cliff with this president. What I'm trying to say is they're hiding all of the jobs. What if the job came back and said we lost 500,000 jobs? Would everybody just be talking about, oh, it's them damn fault, it's those Democrats' fault, it's them Republican fault? No, we be trying to figure out how we gonna get a soft landing somewhere. We would be trying to figure out how to get a soft landing somewhere if he came back and said we lost 500,000 jobs. So stop talking about Dems and Republicans. This is an American problem. This administration is an American problem. What they're doing is an American problem. What? Somebody explain to me, why did they get rid of all those jobs in the government? Somebody explain to me, why did they do that? What was the point? Don't tell me waste, fraud, and abuse, because I haven't seen any money from that waste, fraud, and abuse. Where's the money? If you cut all these jobs to get money, what happened to the money? Because there was no money. It wasn't about money. It was about consolidating all of the finances to see where they could take money from. Shut your ass up, Notorious Network. Both parties are shitty, and both parties are taking and fleecing the American money.
Private sector jobs.
Happy holidays,
These were
y'all.
not federal employees. These were regular Americans working for private businesses. Why did this happen? Because the shutdown choked $15 billion a week out of the economy. So when the federal workers weren't getting paid, they stopped spending. So there were no lunches, no coffee.
Yes, they were needed. Yes, the jobs were needed, Black America. Don't say that. If you don't know why they got rid of the job, don't say it. Because you're just guessing. They got rid of the jobs because they weren't needed. Yes, those jobs were needed. You can't tell me that jobs for special needs people weren't needed. Those jobs were needed. The Department of Education is needed. It needs to be revamped, but it is needed. They were trying to collect money.
No shopping, no services, like all the things that federal workers use, they weren't using because they were at home. Or if they were accepted, then they were not spending because they're still working, but they, have to pay for gas and all these other things with no paycheck. So that spending normally supports small and local businesses, and those businesses took a hit. Economists say that 60,000 job losses is probably an underestimate. That's what they said. Shutdown effects ripple. The longer people cut spending, the more businesses feel it. Businesses with government contracts especially took a hit hard. I've covered those stories here. Some had to cut hours or lay off workers because their revenue had stopped overnight. Activity will bounce back fast, but not everything. Spending connected to food stamps, grocery stores, and local services may recover quickly, but layoffs tied to weaker economic conditions may become permanent. A major factor that I did not consider when I did a report on the jobs report for October that we are probably never going to get, they're saying, which I completely forgot about this, but there are 150,000 federal workers who quietly left during the shutdown because they used deferred resignation, and that program kicked in on October 1st. That means the federal government is permanently smaller. Those lost federal salaries equals less spending in local communities, fewer government contracts, and fewer employees equals fewer private sector jobs supported. Jobs market is already weak before the shutdown. Between May and August, only 107,000 jobs were created, and that's extremely low for a 4-month stretch. Economist says the job market is fragile. It's hiring slow, and businesses feel stuck. The private sector layoffs are increasing in certain regions, especially Washington, D.C. Companies are like a deer in headlights, unsure whether to hire or to freeze. And the October jobs report, again, will likely never be released. We need to push for that. I want to see those numbers, okay? I got to get my little nerdy hands on. Like, I have to see. Because the shutdown interrupted the data collection. This creates more economic uncertainty because the public won't know the unemployment rate, the labor force participation, the household data. Actual data from September and October may be released, but it'll be incomplete. We're supposed to be getting September's information this week. And then I read another article that said that they were basically going to make sure that they could get November's information out, which by the time they get November's information out, it'll...
Why is this administration so incompetent? Why is it that under other presidents, this kind of shit we never heard anything about? We never heard anything about this because everything transitioned and it ran smoothly from one administration to the next. Now we have all this disruption and we're not getting the information that we want. Yes, I say save your coins, save your money, save all of that. Hey, what did I do? I just FYI, what did I do? I negotiated with my credit cards. I negotiated with them where they I don't know what the hell they did. They did something and they cut my credit cards into 1/3 payment, into 2/3 of the payment. Then I negotiated with my car note. My car note said that they would put 3 payments on the back. They would give me 3 payments. They would give me 3 months of no paying of my car note. They'll put it on the back. I haven't done that yet. Then what else? Some other things I did. Started, every week going to all these and getting canned goods, starting to eat more canned goods, starting to eat less out, starting to spend less money, right? Because, and I started the snowball thing. That snowball thing where you snowball and pay your debts. Snowball, I started that. So this is where I am. This is what I'm trying to do because I feel like we're gonna be fucked for about 2 years. 2 or 3 years, we're gonna be screwed. Okay? We're gonna be fucked up in the game. Because these tariffs, you do know that the tariffs are in the Supreme Court, and the Supreme Court is now trying to decide whether those tariffs are legal or not, right? So if the Supreme Court decides that this is not legal, we're gonna be even more problems. They're gonna be even more problems if they decide that it's not legal, because he should never have done tariffs anyway. Congress only does tariffs. Congress is the one who makes the decision on tariffs. And you cannot rule by EO, unfortunately. We cannot rule by EO. And this president seems to think that we can rule only by EO. It's a what is it called? It's an incompetent administration. But we got to deal with it for now.
Be December. And it probably won't look as bad because the bulk of it happened in October, which is coming for layoff season. A lot of layoffs happened in October, period. But we were already hitting record numbers during this shutdown. So I want to see those numbers. I want to see those numbers. So yeah, my girl, that was a good estimate. I was hoping not, but nail on the head. And apparently your number was generous. Let me know what you guys think in the comments.
So I have a question for you. What do you do when the jobs report is bad? Apparently, you pretend it doesn't exist. See, job losses don't exist if nobody counts them. At least that seems to be the philosophy of the Trump administration. If you haven't heard already, we are not getting the official October jobs report from the Bureau of Labor and Statistics. It's just gone. It's been deleted from the timeline, if you will. Like, October never happened. And now Wall Street put out its own estimate, which we already saw, which said that the U.S. lost 50,000 jobs. And we're never going to know for sure, though, because the government numbers, the ones that actually matter, are all being withheld. And of course, it gets worse. They've now announced that November's jobs reports won't come out until mid-December, which is far later than normal. So ask yourself, if the numbers were good, would they hide them? Because right now it's obvious the economy is in rough shape. Trump took the upward slope that Biden handed him, the post-COVID jobs recovery, and turned it straight around. So instead of gains, we're now getting losses. And instead of cooling inflation, prices are now rising again. And now Trump is floating the idea that if he just reverses his own tariffs, the ones he said that wouldn't hurt Americans but did, magically companies will slash prices out of the kindness of their hearts, because that's what they're known for doing. That's not economic policy. That's literally wishful thinking. So here we are, an administration hiding job losses, praying corporations suddenly decide to lower prices and calling this a plan. Yet hope is not a strategy. But right now, it looks like hope and denial are all they've got.
This is the first time in U.S. history, to my knowledge, that a Bureau of Labor Statistics jobs report has been completely canceled. If you haven't heard, the October jobs report is being canceled. It will not be released by the White House. And from my understanding and my knowledge and my background in finance, this is the first time this has ever happened. In previous shutdowns, the reports have been delayed, but never canceled entirely. Now, we can speculate all day long as to why the reasons are, but to me it's clear. The jobs report for October would have probably been disastrous, probably would have been horrible, because the jobs numbers just aren't that good, and they're not getting any better. They're not going to get any better until well into probably 2027. So I just feel like this is such a major thing that everyone's just writing off as, oh, another report, a report was canceled. This is historic. And when you look at politics, the things that relate to economics, that's the stuff that makes our lives better or not. On top of everything else, if you are economically well, your life is probably better. I'll keep you up to date with this as best I can. If you like personal finance, world economics, investing, breaking news, and politics with a clear bias, I'll say it, I have a clear bias. Not against Democrats, not against Republicans, not even against Trump, just against stupidity. So if that resonates with you, you're in the right place.
Well, Moody's is ready to declare that the United States of America is in a recession. Moody's. They're waiting a few more minutes for some additional data to come in before they make that declaration. Now, by definition, we are technically in a recession when one of 5 or 6 different indicators have been hit. Facts have been hit. And the one indicator that has been met for a recession is the decline in payroll, specifically because jobs have been cut. So what Moody's does, they've been doing this forever. They send out 400 surveys to 400 different industries. Now, if there's any single month that over 50% or more send back their survey saying they've had a decrease in payroll because they've had to cut jobs, we're technically in a recession. We've started a recession, and then there'll be more indicators that happen after that. Well, for July, the surveys came back, and 53% of these 400 industries have had a decrease in payroll because they've had to cut jobs. Okay? Now, their only hesitation to declaring that we are now in the start of a recession is the job.
Both in the economy, we are waiting any moment now.
We don't even know where we at. This is the economy that we are dealing with today. The Trump administration is hiding all the job reports. It's devastating job reports. Remember that day when it came out in September? Was it August 30th or September? It came out and they said 33,000 jobs lost. And maybe 2 days later, Donald Trump fired the BLS man. Fired the man. Because he didn't want to see any more devastating reports. And we haven't seen a clear-cut report since. What does it really mean when a government hides its losses? When the job numbers are not released? The official report is canceled or delayed like they trying to do? And hard-working folks like us are left in the dark? Well, in this case, by refusing to release the monthly reports from the BLS, even though the report was likely read by Trump and merely postponed under the cover of a shutdown or whatever, the administration is choosing convenience over responsibility. It's a conscious act of hiding their failure. The failure to create jobs, the failure to maintain economic stability, the failure to protect working people. When a government deliberately keeps its own citizens from seeing the true economic conditions of its country. It's not serving the people. It's protecting itself. The Trump administration is protecting itself. But what does that do to trust? The trusted people and the businesses have in the institutions that we're supposed to have. These experts are warning that the firing of the BLS after a weak jobs report and replacing that dude with someone viewed as a partisan loyalist, are you loyal? Jump always likes to ask, are you loyal? It undermines the credibility of any goddamn jobs report that come out of this damn administration. Without having reliable data, we cannot make informed decisions. Businesses cannot make informed decisions. Workers deciding to look whether to look for new jobs or not, find a better job, stay in the job they got. Families can't budget, right? Groceries is funny. Rent is funny. Can't invest. Policymakers can't plan the future. See, this kind of manipulation from this Trump administration is more than an embarrassment. It leaves everybody uncertain as to what the hell is going on. Destabilizing the market, destabilizing families. We have a social contract with our government in order to be transparent with certain things. And this government is not being that. By hiding those losses, the administration, this Trump administration, isn't just hiding numbers. They are hiding the reality of what is going on in this country. That dishonesty is going to have devastating effects over the years to come. We have fewer resources, harder choices that people got to make in their family. Small businesses going to figure out we're going to have to keep our shit together. We're going to have to fire people in order to tighten our belt to make money. Because our economy is supposed to be built on transparency and accountability and fair opportunity. This almost malfeasance. This is a betrayal of the American people. Everyday American people who are trying to live better, do better. And I hate this fucking administration because they try to gaslight motherfuckers. You try to gaslight me. You try to tell me that it's fucking raining when I know you pissing on me. I don't like that. That's the one thing I don't like about this administration. They try to piss on you and say it's raining. But you know what? I do know one thing. At the end of this administration, some people gonna go to jail. If the Democrats got backbone, some of y'all gonna go to jail. Some of you motherfuckers gonna go to jail.
And we lose 2028. Some in this room are going to prison, myself included.
Now, why would he need to say that?
We lose the midterms and we lose 2028. Some in this room are going to prison, myself included. They're not going to stop.
Goofy, Fred. When did we want a world war? When did we say we wanted a world war? When exactly did we say we wanted a world war? Y'all just be saying stuff. I don't know one damn Democrat that said they wanted a world war. Not one. Y'all be projecting. You mean you all wanted that bullshit when you decided you wanted a civil war. You all thought, and you were going to go to civil war. You're going to go to war over a goofy podcaster called Charlie Kirk. You all wanted a war. We never pushed for no war over no Russia. Y'all goofy. Y'all hit the like and share and subscribe button. They all should go to prison. All of them should go to prison. All of them probably will go to prison. Hopefully we have Democrats in the office that win the office and then they put them in prison. Because a lot of them like to go to prison. I know that Kristi Noem, who is getting kickbacks money hand over fist. I know that Bondi, who gave that Halligan girl permission to try to prosecute Comey and Letitia James, and she wasn't qualified. She should be disbarred. Cash Patel need to be hung up and quartered because he don't know what the hell he be saying. He just be talking. Wow. Yeah, I am another lawyer. You got to know that. No, I ain't no big liar. Trump is a big liar. Yeah, we are that, Adam. We definitely are that. We definitely are that. Y'all hit the like, share, and subscribe button. We have this kind of content every day, an hour at a time, talking about issues that happen. This was the jobs report that Donald Trump has been hiding from regular people, from the American people. He's hidden all the jobs reports since getting that bad jobs report in September. And he's probably going to continue to hide it. And we're probably going to have goofy goofies like the ones in the chat who's saying, Trump is the best. We love Trump. We love him. We love him. We want to suck him off. We love him. We love him. We love him. Goofy goofies. Goofy goofies. Blue wave next year. I cannot wait. Blue wave next year. I cannot wait. Please like, share, subscribe. We have this kind of content every hour or maybe every 3 or 4 hours. We have new content, but please like, share, subscribe. No, everybody is not stupid. Just most of the MAGA people. Just most of them.